Hello, folks. Welcome back to the first broadcast in March. I am Jon Najarian, and this is 3 at 3. Every business day at 3 p.m., we try to bring you the unusual option activity that our team has found, that our algorithms have ferreted out for us from the millions of quotes that stream at us every minute. I mean, it's literally, folks, tens of millions of quotes across all the markets. And then we try to highlight them for you, the best that we've seen for the day. And so this is that list for March 1st, 2022. But before we get to that, let me show you a little thing I mentioned from my friends at Kaiko. This is a firm that tracks activity in crypto, even dark pools. And in fact, I interviewed one of their leading people at the at the Battlefin conference in Miami 3 weeks ago. And the woman who I interviewed was extremely well-spoken on crypto and offered lots of great insights, like this chart right here, which shows you the daily tether to ruble trade. Now, all of us know that most of the time in the United States, when we're talking Bitcoin, we're, of course, talking about it in dollar terms. And yet, you know, of course, that it trades in currencies all over the world, except where they block those currencies from being able to trade Bitcoin, for instance. Tether also trades against all currencies, really. So when you have fiat, the dollar, or rubles, trading against Tether, and it's noted, then you can see exactly how much flow, if you will, is coming out of fiat, which is paper money, into cryptocurrencies, into stable coins or whatever it might be. So this is an example of that. As you see, Russia invades Ukraine, and look at that spike in activity that Kaiko has cited there. I'll have more follow-up on this, but I thought you might want to see that, because if you cut them off from the banking system, one of the things about decentralized is that people can still trade. Money will still move around the world. So whether or not they're trading USDC, or whether they trade Tether, or whether they trade Bitcoin, Ethereum, Mana, Decentraland, any of these, you get the idea. This is what the world looks like now. It's not just a fiat, oh, I'm trading dollars for Swissy or whatever. It's a derivative. Here is some activity that I cited on the halftime report for the Spider from early today. Take a look at that. Early today in the first hour of trade, 10,000 of those 7th of March, 430 puts, 430 puts. So we saw those trade. I bought the at the monies, which were the 437 puts at the time. And of course, as the market rolled, and it rolled pretty far, pretty fast, even as the Biden administration brought out news that they were going to tap the SPR, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, SPRs, we call it SPR, for 60 million barrels. That is almost 3 days worth of production, folks. Consumption, rather. 3 days worth of consumption. We consume over 20 million barrels a day in the United States. That's between airlines, trucks, cars, diesel, fuel oil, all the rest for heating homes, whatever it might be. That's a lot, but 3 days worth ain't really going to change the situation much. In other words, this is what the administration offered last time when crude oil was spiking, and they said, let's throw 60 million barrels at it. And as you probably recall, their energy secretary didn't even know how many days of consumption that might be. But nonetheless, without trying to sound political, I'll instead just tell you that we are looking at an explosion in crude oil. Should you take some profits? Perhaps. Should you lock in some? Absolutely. Should you roll up if you still believe, as I do? Then the answer is yes. But I can't trade your account for you. You have to decide what to do. Nonetheless, this did send the market spiraling, and we traded down. Let's see where we are now. I'm looking. We've got the S&P down to 430 and 80 cents. So in other words, it dropped $6 virtually from this point. So yeah, these are looking pretty good. Will I sell more puts against this? You bet I will. You bet I will. And I'll get a lot more than 427 for them too. Those are puts that expire over the weekend, Monday. So in other words, they give you coverage through this week into Monday of next week. Worth noting. Here is the TLT. I also spoke about this today. There you see some of the trades from last week. All three of those trades, in fact, from last week. Look at that. They were buying March 140 calls. They were buying April 1st, 138 calls. They were buying 10,000 April 143 calls. Get the idea. People were thinking that interest rates would break down. And have they? You bet. They're down 30 basis points in just 3 sessions, down from over 2% down to 174 and falling still. So this is something that the president, when he speaks tonight, will have to address, is that I don't believe we're going to see 5 or 7 rate hikes this year. Not with a war raging in Ukraine. I don't think that's even in the cards. EFA, one we talked about yesterday. I told you this is absent Canada and the United States. This is an ETF that tracks big cap stocks, absent those two. You see, they were buying the May 71 puts. Well, it fell today, the EFA down another 2%. And so yesterday when we were talking about this, it was 73.75. It's fallen by $2 today. Bang. In other words, making some money here. Tesla also showed you yesterday with the stock trading at 846. And we said, well, somebody's betting maybe it pops to 900 or close to it by the end of the week. Well, because these are options that expire the 4th of March. There it is. They traded up to $20.90. They closed yesterday at 13. So you get the idea that maybe these are working out pretty well already. Even, and of course, as it did that, by the way, as Tesla did that, shares moved up to almost, I think, 890. So not 900, but just that pop was able to generate those nice profits for us. Bang. Now let's talk about crypto conversation. I will be having 2 big interviews tomorrow for Crypto Convo. You can see that at cryptoconvo.com. That's cryptoconvo.com. I will have 2 very interesting personalities that will be talking about Ukraine, some of those stats that I shared with you about rubles to cryptocurrencies and so forth. We'll talk about all that tomorrow. It'll probably go up the day after or so, but I encourage you to check out what we've put up so far on cryptoconvo.com. Start now with the 3 at 3 new meet. This is Marathon, MRO. What a shock. John's still bullish on energy. Yeah, I am. MRO 2294, they bought 15,000 June 25. So could you buy the 23s? Yes. Would you instead sell puts or put spreads? Could do that. Could you buy a call spread? Of course. Could you buy a calendar spread? Of course. Learn more about all of that by going to marketrebellion.com/get started. So Marathon 2294, they're buying the June 25 calls, paying $2.13. Bang. Second, this is the one that I ended the show with today on halftime. Silver, SLV. It was at $23.20. They bought 20,000. That is 2 million share equivalent. 2 million share equivalent, folks, at the 25 strikeout in May. So you have March, April, May, 3 months, a full quarter out into the future. So I bought the 23s. My intention is to sell 25s or higher against it if we get a continuation of the pop that we're seeing in silver and gold today. Bang. Let's get to the third and final of today's 3 at 3. Pilgrim's Pride, PPC. Why? You've already heard me say repeatedly that I believe fertilizers are going to be in big focus. Food is going to be in big focus. Energy in big focus. Why? Well, because of sanctions on Russia. Russia and Ukraine account for almost 30% of the global wheat market. Many other grains and so forth as well. They're very high production in those. Soybeans, of course, Brazil and the United States. Corn, United States and Russia. You get the idea. A lot of things that we feed animals as well as feed human beings. And the prices are going up, my friends, I believe, because of the sanctions, because of demand, and that will only push demand higher. Why? Because if Russia can't export fertilizer, then European countries that depend on that right now will not have it, just like perhaps next winter they won't have oil and gas out of Russia. Remember, again, Nord Stream 2 is not completed. It stopped. They stopped work on it. It never had oil or natural gas flowing through it. Instead, it's Nord Stream 1 that is presently still operational. And the U.S. buys oil from Russia as well, folks. So if we cut back and put more sanctions on Russia, and Russia has to instead sell to China and India, two places where we believe they will continue to sell fertilizer as well as foodstuffs and energy, well, that means our prices are going up. Pilgrim's Pride PPC, $23 stock. They are buying 10,000 September 25 calls, virtually the same trade as this with silver, 23, and they're buying 25s. So I'm buying 23s and I will be selling 25s against it or higher, depending how fast we pop. That's going to do it for us today, folks. If you would like to learn more about trading stock, options, or cryptos, well, head over to marketrebellion.com. Why not? marketrebellion.com/get started. That's marketrebellion.com/get started. I'm going to get going. I got to go up to San Juan for some meetings on one of our streaming channels that we're going to be very excited to launch and tell you about. But until then, I hope you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bang.